discuss about policy response to the COVID-19, and the last one, I will show the policy response, assessment of policy response and the way forward. For the COVID development and mitigation strategy, so you will see that in Cambodia, we start presence of the COVID-19 on 27 January 2020. But the number of cases is imported case from foreigners, and the case is very low until 20 February 2021. And you can see the graph that the COVID-19 outbreak in Cambodia after 20 February event, that the Cambodian government called it 20 February event. And then start from that time, the daily death increased as in the graph. So in one day, the daily death increase reached to around 40 people dies per day. So the development of COVID-19 is very fast during the community outbreak. Next slide, please. Next, please. Yeah, so to mitigate the COVID-19 outbreak in Cambodia, so our government chose the priority policy response is vaccination. So when you look at the graph, the vaccination is increased rapidly after from March 2021. And also the number of vaccination is more than 100% of the target people population. And also we have the policy response that this city cut off by lockdown the city. We have two ways to lockdown, international lockdown and domestic lockdown. So for the national-wide lockdown, the government categorized the city in 3 different areas, like red area, yellow area, and green area. And most of people happy with it to talk each other by Facebook and enjoy straight out information. Oh, are you in red area? I'm lucky in the yellow area, and I'm the most lucky in the green area. It made the problem become happiness that people share each other. And also the acceleration of vaccination is really important. That we see the graph I mentioned, the number of infections decreased dramatically at the end of 2021, and then the country is open, fully open on 30 October. So since the city was open and the economy started recovering itself, especially for retailers. Okay, so for next, let me discuss about the effect on Cambodian economy. So you look at the graph, you'll see that in 2020, the economic growth decreased by almost 2%. And if you measure on average, 3.1% decrease on the total GDP, and for GDP per capita decreased by 4%. And the sector that affected by COVID-19 pandemic is garment, because garment is labor-intensive production. There are many workers in a few small factories, so the factories are closed. And also the export demand decreased by 20.1%. The construction decreased by 10.6%. Hotel and restaurant decreased by 13% in 2020. And the transportation and communication decreased by 1.5%. But if we look at the economy of Vietnam, next slide please. Yeah, this is economy of Vietnam and Laos. Laos economy is still deficit. I mean, GDP growth is minus, but Vietnam is still grow. That we really appreciate the Vietnam economy during the COVID-19. So the growth rate that's around 2 to 5% per year. Next slide, please. For Cambodia, we go back to Cambodia. The effect of COVID-19 affect to the government budget. So we see the government budget deficit and also the current account also deficit that we call twin deficit. So twin deficit is the worst situation of the economy according to economic theory. So it happened since 1933. In 1933, it was a recovery by a Canadian model. So according to the data, 2020, the government budget deficit by 8.7% of the GDP, and also 2021, 45.7% of the GDP. So this is mean that the government spends a lot on recovering the economy during the COVID-19, while the government income is quite decreased. Okay. And getting to the inflation. So you will see that inflation, even during the COVID-19, is not so much increased. You look at the graph from December 2018 until February 2022. The red colors refer to the all-item CPI, Consumer Price Index, is still stable. But we see the problem in 2020. The green line is referred to transportation. So at that time, because of city lockdown, so no one transport and the transportation cost decreased dramatically. And the transportation cost increased dramatically after 20 February even. And it grew until today, with the effect of the high oil price also. Next slide, please. Yeah, and also it affects to the education. All educational institution was closed many times, frequently depends on the infection. And you will see that the education index decreased from 0.484 to 0.43. So decrease in educational index that is measured by the World Bank, it means that because of online, that in Cambodia the internet service is not quite well, and also the educational system is not ready for the online teaching, and then it affects so much in 2020. When we look at the income index, it's still a little bit decreased, and also for life expectancy, it's also okay, no problem, because people take care about their health, so a little bit increase in life expectancy index. For another effect is airway suspending. So the international tourists decreased by 42% in 2020 and decreased by 85% in 2021 because of airway suspending, and also the domestic tourists decreased by 30%. And then we see that in Cambodia, tourism sector share about 1/5 of the total GDP. 1/5 of the total GDP. So it's almost 20%, 19% something, 19 point something percent of the GDP, and it decreased dramatically. That caused economic fallout. For the trade, we also face the problem of the rice export. Since in 2019, our Cambodian export is rice, that people know it and love to eat Cambodian rice. But during the COVID-19, rice export halted because the government also tried to keep the rice in the stock for secure the food for the people. And also the food supply had problem. It is the big gap between the price of food in the production area, I mean in the countryside, in the farm, and the price of food in the market. They're quite different because the city lockdown make the farm and the market far from each other. And then the cost is different. At the time, the transportation cost increased so much that, like example for cucumber, 1 kilogram of cucumber at the farm, just only 1,000 real, but in the market 8,000 real. So quite different, the big gap between the price of products in the farm and in the market. And also some of government factories are suspending, and the government need to take the worker to conduct the vocational training by paying 60% of their salary. So it's a lot. When we look at the number of workers, it's almost 1 million workers in Cambodia, and also government have to pay every month for 2 years. So it's much amount of money. And for SME, this is the worker in the SME. The first graph is the food and beverage sectors. So SME in Cambodia focus much on the food and beverage sectors, and then you see that the number of workers who working in food and beverage sector decreased almost 50%. But for the other sector, just a little. So this is mean that the income of the people and also the SME sector halt during the COVID-19. Even the government offer the credit or the capital injection because they cannot receive the capital from the government due to some other reason. And for the credit, microcredit is popular in Cambodia. And if one who never borrow the money from the microfinance, that is not popular. So you must borrow the money from the bank or from the microfinance. And when you see that the COVID-19 come, how to make money and to pay this back to the loan. So the National Bank of Cambodia changed the strategy by restructuring the loan. Otherwise, they will have the problem of pay back the loan. So the numbers of households that get credit from the microfinance increased dramatically during the COVID-19 because they have no income. So the loan not for construction, not for production, but the loan for consumption. Okay, almost finished? Next slide, please. The policy response. That is what I mentioned already about the policy response, that the reduction of monetary policy. So 19% of the household receive the cash transfer from the government, and also financial loan restructuring policies. And the total restructured loan is $1,375,000,000, and also over almost 300,000 clients. And also in 2021, restructures again more than 2020. And also the government plan to trim the budgets. And with the budget, the government focus on the 3 pillars: recovery, reform, and resilience. And then the government of Cambodia invest on skill development that spent around $58 million in 2020 and $22 million in 2021 to increase high quality of infrastructures that spent totally in 2021 around $7,000 million, and also support the SME in 3 years, 2020 $300 million, 2021 150 and 2022 250. And also the government developed the digital infrastructures and also worker supporting programs with a lot of money, and also the rural task force work. Next slide please, the last one. So now we discuss about the assessment of the policy response and future challenges. So the assessment by the overview on the tourist sector is still declined. Even the government tried to boost these sectors, but it's still declined due to the others foreign countries still infected by the COVID-19. And you see the agricultural sectors increased by 1.1%, and the export of the agricultural products increased by 19%, manufacturing sectors increased by 7.4%, wholesale and retail rise by small proportion, so just around less than 1%. In this case, this is the problem of SME that cannot grow even 2022. Even the government injects a lot of fiscal policy, a lot of money into that sector. And the future challenge we do not know. It is uncertainty of the new virus development and also uncertainty of the world economic crisis like Russia-Ukraine crisis. Next slide please. And also let me conclude for my presentation. And we see that the negative impact is still available in Cambodia is tourism sectors, education, SME, and transportation. And the way forward, I suggest our seminar to discuss, to promote the intra-ASEAN tourism, especially for CLV tourism community. And also we can share the regional value chain in Asia, especially CLV, that we separate a different type of production, like in Laos produce another product, in Vietnam and Cambodia. So we also have a different product, and we can conduct, we can analyze the comparative advantage, so we can trade each other more than that. And also to promote intra-Asian trade, to update educational practice and support, and also build SME association for CLV. I think to build SME association for CLV is really important that our speakers and professors, researchers here from the CLV, maybe we can discuss about this to support our SMEs, since we know that COVID-19 affects to SMEs in Laos, SMEs in Vietnam, also in Cambodia. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sereyvath, for the very insightful presentation on fiscal policy and economic growth during and after COVID-19 in Cambodian economy. In your presentation, you have mentioned four main issues: first on COVID-19 development and